One of the easiest ways for a game to become a favorite of mine is creating an environment where unplanned narratives naturally spring to life. Things like Darkest Dungeon, having a highwayman that always seems to come in clutch. Or growing really attached to a particular Fire Emblem unit for his surprising reliability. Seriously, Aaron slept on. But the king of this accomplishment, at least from what I've played, is XCOM 2. There is so much in this game that makes these nameless soldiers come alive. A robust customization system, a smorgasbord of classes and gear to differentiate them, dozens of aliens that create infinite chaotic situations, a bond system to befriend other soldiers, a photo booth that spreads propaganda around the world, and to tie it all together, a modding scene that allows for each of these aspects to be expanded tenfold. I wanted to showcase this melting pot of surprise narratives, so I issued my viewers a challenge. They would submit a character, either themselves, a favorite character, or one of their own creation. I would place them in the game and attempt to use and equip them to the best of my ability in the way that would make sense for the character. Essentially trying to double down on XCOM's natural ability to tell surprise stories while allowing audience integration. And the results were a disaster. I was also trying to show off a mod for the game at the same time. A mod that I did not know how it worked, which resulted in a game over after 9 hours. Those were some of the funniest 9 hours I've ever experienced playing a video game. So I just want to tell some stories about how this went down, showcase both the creative writing talents of my audience, the beautiful chaotic mess of XCOM, and maybe incentivize others to throw their hat in the ring too, because I am definitely going to do this again. Enter Geek Nerdly, the first soldier I customized. The concept was simple. This is a guy who's a big fan of the XCOM series, so much that he's written himself into the game. This is an intense war game. He's out of his depth. So naturally I made him a specialist, a robotic support class. Makes sense for a character like this to avoid confrontation and instead send a robotic helper to do that work for him. And what happened to Geek Nerdly?
You know what? This is exactly the kind of... For a kind of, like, isekai character here, Geek Nerdly notices his chance, realizes he can be the hero without any risk, and also fucking misses.
In his first mission, he was constantly hiding, his squad got overwhelmed by multiple patrols, he panicked and threw all his grenades like a madman, missed every shot he took, got mind-controlled by an alien psionic, shot his teammate in the back, and was immediately killed by an Advent soldier in one of the most hilarious ragdolls I've ever seen in XCOM. Now, some might say this was a tragic waste of a character, and in a few ways I agree. Despite playing in such an anti-strategy way, and with a mod I wasn't familiar with, I foolishly was on the same difficulty I normally am with XCOM, which, that didn't go well. If the submitter wants another go at Geek, or anybody whose character died for that matter, I only ask that the resurrection is tied into the backstory somewhat. Make Geek in a Groundhog Day scenario or something, I don't know. But even if this is the end of Geek's story, is there a funnier outcome that could have existed for a character like this? Many other people submitted characters that they just liked from various pieces of media. Highlights including a friendly Bulborb who tragically couldn't understand that his best friend was killed. We had Corin, who, while a reliable unit, strangely died shortly after joining the team. And the Knight from Hollow Knight, who heroically sacrificed itself distracting dozens of soldiers so innocent civilians could live another day. I cannot stress how poetic this was. Not only was it perfect for the character, it fucking worked! Some took fun spins on existing characters, such as a grizzled veteran version of Luigi who was trained by Booze to be an elite soldier. Or a broken Mega Man. I killed the avatar of a user known as Potato in the thumbnail, who just ran with it and said, alright, Olimar's there too. Let's say Pikmin rebuilt him, and are currently piloting a Mega Man mech. Which was perfect because the aliens tried to mind control him, but they couldn't because it's not one mind. And then Geek shot him in the back, but it was a great moment. But by far, my favorite of these kinds of submissions was also the silliest. The Barbarian from Clash of Clans. I used this doofus with a simple philosophy. See enemy, hit enemy. What is gun? I have sword. I fully expected him to die in the first combat engagement. I played him with that intention. But in a beautiful display of why the best offense is sometimes a full offense, this idiot survived so much longer than he had any right to. It got to the point where enemies were running away from his single-minded aggression, which did finally kill him when this meathead finally ran into a significantly larger meathead, but goddamn was it a glorious run. But as with all the rest, he died. And unfortunately, there were many that died before we could get to know them. Dr. Claire was hyper-obsessed with chairs. I was so excited to exclusively choose cover next to chairs. But unfortunately, she died before that could be a running gag. An unfortunate consequence of my poor decision with the difficulty. Because in an ideal world, most of these characters could have had a story like our final one today. One soldier who carried every mission he was in, the mob guy. This is a shy guy mobster, who I saw and thought, you know what would be funny? If I turned him into a psionic super soldier. Which started as a write-off joke, but quickly evolved into Mob being the only reason XCOM was alive as he defended his newfound family.
Has a very good chance of just one-shotting it. Is that not the coolest fucking thing ever? Just a shy guy doing that.
And to be fair, the fact that the Templar class is busted played a major role too, but the fact that this was a shy guy mobster Templar made it infinitely more special. Sometimes you just have those characters that dodge everything they need to, roll exactly enough damage to take down their target, and in this run, that character was the mob guy, whose criminal expertise perfectly translated into the field of battle. As soon as he died, the run was over, but what a run it was! And Mob was the glue that held it all together. So what's next? I don't know. Apart from a lower difficulty and better knowledge of how the mod works. This will mean that characters live a lot longer, so these stories can breathe a bit more, have a lot more freedom with stylizing with equipment and such. Actual narratives can start to form. But who those characters end up being is entirely up to my audience. If it will be someone returning or someone new. So if anybody wants to participate in this goofy little experiment I'm spending my study breaks on, all you gotta do is click the Google Doc link in the pinned comment and follow the example of the many viewers who have already thrown a hat into the ring. It can be whatever you like. A favorite character, a celebrity, a self-insert, maybe something entirely original. Toss a character my way, I'll slot them in, and who knows? Maybe in the next results screen I'll be talking about your creation. So get to submitting, and I'll see you then.